Welcome to the stream. Today we have more Mr. Love Queen's Choice, where I am completely and totally alone now because Gavin, Lucien, Victor, and Kiro all just disappeared after the last meeting I had with each of them. So that's been interesting. I am a little bit worried to see where it goes from here since I'm supposed to be saving the world, but I have nobody to help me or guide me through it. It's gonna be quite interesting. So anyway, let me get everybody in the know that I am live. And then I'll just jump right into it. Why not? Why not? Let's just jump right into it. Do. Sorry. I watched Jacksepticeye play Megalovania today, so. Hello, Orville, and welcome to being first. Good to see you. Alright, so Kiro basically told us to close the door and not let anybody in, and that was that. We listened because he has some kind of weird remote control-y power thingy. Hello, Mango Ninja! How are you? Let me know if you can't hear the voice acting and I'll fix it. I'm doing good, Orville. A long time passed and the sky gradually turned dark. I could finally move. All the support seemed taken from my body in an instant, and I plopped down on the ground. I recovered for a few minutes before I got used to having control of my body again. My thoughts were like a big, tangled mess. There seemed to be lots of hints and clues, but I couldn't untangle any of it. I didn't understand a thing. I struggled to my feet and pounded on the locked door. I pulled at the rusted lock, but it wouldn't open, and there was no response. Kiro! Kiro! Kiro, where did you go? Why did you do that? I shouted Kiro's name, but only the howling wind answered, like the most mournful horn in the world. Why? Didn't we say we'd face it together? I slid powerlessly to the ground. My whole body shook as if immersed in icy water. This is a visual novel dating simulator. I want to make sure my gain is up on my... Test. Okay, much better. It's a visual novel dating simulator. They are not sus. They're gone. They were my support group. I'm all alone. Which is anybody's watched me play Disney Dreamlight Valley. Being all alone is one of my biggest fears. Test failed. Can't hear you? Really? You can't hear me? Wait, you butt munch. You can too. You wouldn't have known I said test. You got me, Bozzy. You got me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I actually fell for that. Oh my word. I cannot believe I actually fell for that. Oh. Trolling streamers. That's one of the best trollings that you can do as a streamer right there. It's not negative, and it's actually really funny. I know. Everybody can hear me. Bozzy was just being a butt munch and got me. So yeah, everybody is gone. That's a short. You know what? I probably should if I can get it in time. Let's see. Oh wow, it saved it quick. So hopefully we got that. If not, you need to clip it and I'll get it in there. I slid perilously to the ground. My whole body shook as if immersed in icy water. I already read that. Kiro, I'll wait for you here. Always. Come back soon. My mouth fell open and tears fell uncontrollably in big drops, falling into my mouth. Ew. Yuck. Tears do not taste good. And turning into bitter helplessness. I looked at the metal door shut tight, and an interminable flood of despair surged in my throat. I think I read that word wrong. Whatever. I was the one who had to come here. Kiro was just going along with me. I wanted to solve this problem, and he wanted to help, even if it meant facing a darkness beyond redemption. Every single time it's like this, I get the people around me hurt and put them in danger. Why is it always this way? The bare rooftop was like a limitless ocean. For the first time, I realized how insignificant a creature I was. A red light flashed like the countdown clock of fate. The taste of rust was in the air. A steel monster, just like in my dream. The emitter's control switch was not far from the top of the tower, where the beacon was. Wish it was April. I'm kind of glad it's June, but April 1st would have been great for that joke, yes. The wind was heavy at the top of the building, so heavy that it was hard to stand. It blew so hard that tears only left a salt stain on my face, stinging me harshly. Man, my nose is really itchy today, guys. I'm so sorry. I struggled up the ladder, rung by rung, slowly climbing upward. Hello, Zay. You're level 100 in your catalog now? Congratulations. I don't even think I'm level 20 yet. When I was a lad, 84 dozen eggs every morning helped me get lost. But now they're going to go 95 dozen eggs, so I'm 13, the size of a dozen. When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get strong. But now that they're gone, I eat 5 dozen eggs. But I can't remember what the rest of it really is. But that's what that made me think of, which is probably what you're trying to make me think of. I need to turn off the switch. I need to wait in the most peaceful and warmest place for Kiro's return. My discomfort grew more and more. My discomfort grew more and more intense until I couldn't ignore it anymore. It seemed the closer I got, the more severe it became. My mind was fading out, and it was difficult to regain focus. So this machine, if you have an evil, it makes it go into like overdrive. And I'm trying to get it off the tower because it's ruining Loveland City. I bit down hard on my bottom lip until I could taste blood. Zzz. I suddenly heard the faint sound of electricity. I looked up. The controller in the instrument box was within arm's length. I reached out and opened the box. A red switch appeared before my eyes. I just need to pull the switch, and Loveland City will return to normal. Maybe I'll be able to see Kiro again real soon. I gathered all my strength, and the instant I touched the switch, my vision went white. I pulled down hard on the switch, and then lost all strength. My body fell backward off the ladder. Oh my! Completely spent, and with no more strength to struggle, I could only submit to the despair and plunge into eternal night. Scenes from my dream seemed to be replaying. White fog, a switch being pulled down, a plunging figure. Turns out, it was me. My rapidly falling body had nothing to hold on to. The raging wind in my ears seemed to be announcing death. In a trance, I seemed to see Kiro's dazzling smile and the gentle hand he held out to me. I saw a rainy afternoon and me removing a jacket from my head, watching a youth sprinting away in the rain. I saw the swaying camphor tree, leaves and a nonchalant-looking man carefully placing a peace knot into his pocket. I saw a warmly lit evening, and a towering man caressed my forehead and stared deeply into my eyes. And I saw Dad. I saw him tying a red balloon to my wrist. Countless scenes from the past floated before me, glowing warmly in the dark night. Everyone says that right before you leave this world, you'll see the sweetest, most tender moments in your life. Turns out, you really do. This fall was long. So long I'd already looked back on my whole life. And yet, so short. Too short to leave yet. I wanted to cling to the embers. What's staring at your eyes are to dudes directly in the eyes? I don't know. Oh, that was probably Victor. They were probably talking about Victor. Hello, Super Jake. How are you? And yet so short. Too short to leave yet. I wanted to cling to the embers of this tender warmth. Gradually, I seemed to see the lights, and near the bustle of people, it seemed not far from me. A tear ran out at the corner of my eye. I closed my eyes and waited for my final moment. In my daze, I could feel a familiar wind holding me up. Since returned to my body, and I was enveloped in a thick smell of blood, deeper than the night. Feels like ASMR just because you're wearing headphones. I'm sorry. I really get into acting and stuff whenever I do visual novel stuff, so sorry in advance. My rapid fall didn't stop. A tear in my eye was just gently wiped away. Something anxious sounded in my ear. Drowned out by the wind, I couldn't hear it clearly. He seemed to say, he came too late. Who he was, I no longer had the strength to discern. I only knew that at the final moment, I was no longer alone. Thank goodness, at least you're not alone when you die. A half-light, half-dark sky, a silvery steel tower, a flashing beacon. This was all that was left in my world. A black vortex ripped open the sky, and surging air currents seemed about to devour everything. Orange is the fruit because they had oranges at the beginning of time, I think. A white light flashed across the sky, approaching me. At the end of the light was a slender hand. Consciousness rushed back into my brain from the brink of death. Before that, I clearly heard his last words.
I will accompany you till the very end.
Oh! That's so sad! No! Whoa, it looks like a cat got on your keyboard, Mario and Sonic, but the answer is right. Okay. Did everybody hear the voice acting? Okay, I need to know if I need to up the volume. Did you all hear it? Because if I need to up the volume, I want to up it. No, you couldn't hear the voice acting? I wonder why you couldn't hear the voice acting. Let's try that. That might be a little bit louder, though. Tell me now. Let's see if I can't replay it. Oh, it wouldn't let me. Okay, so are you saying no that you couldn't hear the voice acting, or what are you saying? Can you hear the game, like whenever I push buttons and things? Bozzy, can you hear the voice acting? Through the fog and clouds, I kept falling, like a bird with something. The fog dispersed, I was stuck. The countless threads scattered around. I tried to escape, but soft threads turned into blades. You couldn't hear the game. Well, the voice acting. I'm asking about the voice acting. Suddenly, the world began to take. The walls collapsed bit by bit. A fierce wind tore the threads. Broken shadow appeared. It goes too fast. 1917. Like, what I'm asking about is the game. So, here, let me just. You can't hear voice acting either? I have it all the way up. Let's see. No. Okay, let's just. Can you hear this?
Why did you stay in the kitchen for so long?
Can you hear that?
You were making me some sober-up tea.
That's voice acting. Okay. The voice acting is all I'm worried about. The game, I can't have the music on because they copyright claim some of the music.
I'm not that drunk.
Okay. Alright, so you can hear the voice acting. Your membership is out. Oh no! Whatever will you do, Jack? Okay. Because I have my volume all the way up. Sorry, that was Ben Diskin, I think, who played that particular one. Played in that particular one. Alright. So, previous. There's the wormhole. Okay. The dim glass gradually became clear. Light slowly poured in from one side, revealing the entirety of the scene behind it. In a dark room, a golden-haired young man sat against a wall. He was bruised and battered all over, with his head held down perfectly still, as if sunken into a coma. A hand was pressed against his side of the one-way mirror. Outside the glass stood a man with insidious eyes, sweeping over the plain space. Seems he's finally going to do something. The malicious grin spread across his face with both scornful and mocking, and the score across his face appeared ghastly. Beside him stood a woman dressed in black leather. Her eyes were rested on the wounds of the man locked inside, and her brow furrowed slightly. He's been comatose like this ever since the Queen awakened. His new eval isn't stable yet. The one who did this to him didn't destroy our only successful test subject, did they? Hearing her question, the man let out a sneer. A test subject is just a test subject after all. After tossing out this cruel fact about their organization, he then turned away without another thought. But what he didn't see was that the person locked in that room suddenly lifted his head and looked at some being in the darkness. In a twinkling, his whole body disappeared from view. On the other side of the wall, the woman in black looked back from the doorway, seeing only a room shrouded in darkness without anyone in it. Her eyes widened slightly and a flash of shock darted across her steel gray eyes. Hello, Starfey and Claire. Wow. That is such a strong word to use on someone that brought you into this world. Skateboard your phone, and also I don't have a cat. Notify Ares. Instead of rashly rushing into the room to check, she immediately sent a message over her comms. The sound of hurried footsteps came from down the hall, and then a white door was pushed open. Ares, Artemis just sent an urgent message. 3684 suddenly disappeared from the dark room after his punishment. Should we issue an internal notice immediately? The man standing by the window turned his head, his right eye covered by a bandage, but the gaze from his left was still enough to cause a subordinate to shiver. Is this Lucien again? This kind of sounds like Resident Evil. I'm sorry she said something mean to you, but sometimes parents are human too, and they say some pretty mean things. Just the fact that you said that about your mom makes me really kind of sad. I hate that you feel that way. This is our God on Sunday and ended up on the church's album. Oh, nice! Congrats, Starfey.
No need. He'll be back.
Yep, it is. It's Lucien. Or Ares. In the depths of that eye was a shadow darker than the eternal night. In a black abyss, a lone body was curled up on itself. I don't think she hates you. On his forehead was a keyhole-shaped light that cast countless jumbled silhouettes all around him. The scene before me suddenly started to vibrate violently, and an error signal appeared, as if by some interfering force. Warning, this dimension is too high, unable to sync. Would you like to view in a lower dimension? I have to answer this? No. Error. 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 Error reporting Z Gala 00K02 not found. Please exit the current dimension and start viewing again. Does this do something else if I say yes? If I say yes, does it do something else? This is a sci-fi dating simulator. So a lot of sci-fi stuff is going on. Okay, so it did do something else if you answered yes. Okay. Alright, we'll go back over to that and talk about what it says. Okay. Alright. Would you like to view in a lower dimension? Yes. Thump, 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 pow. The sound of a musical instrument being pounded on came from the other side of the door. A golden-haired boy with headphones around his neck and a song on his lips came walking into the room. He closed the door behind him, shutting out the noisy rock music, then deftly turned the lock. Even though the music wasn't backing him anymore, he kept on singing the tune and drumming along to the beat in the air. He started up a computer and entered a string of complex code. His fingers flew across the keyboard in a blur, and the lines and lines of code flashed across the screen. An error warning popped up from time to time, interrupting his motions, but he didn't seem to mind and just moved on to another method to break into this database.
They always like to make it complicated.
The boy frowned, then backed off the keyboard, reached out behind him, and smoothly opened up a mini fridge and took out a can of soda. Well, we all say things like that sometimes. I mean, we all say things we regret sometimes. Just once you both cool down, just apologize. I'm sure it'll be fine. He slugged back a big gulp of ice-cold cola, a look of satisfaction in his eyes, just as he was selecting a CD off the desk. A ding sound was suddenly heard. The boy swiftly set aside the cola and looked at the screen, his eyes shining.
Yes, I'm in.
He tapped rapidly on the keyboard, the rat-tat-tat sound merging almost perfectly with the drumming, seeping in from the crack in the door. Soon, the boy came to a halt. He had discovered a strange string of code, and a puzzled look came over his face.
Coordinates? It's a location?
Before he'd gotten a full understanding of this string of code, a warning in red letters that took up almost half the screen appeared before him, and all the data started melting away.
Oops, they caught me.
He sounds so disappointed that they caught him. Well, you shouldn't tell your parents that. But sometimes we do. Mario or Minecraft Steve? Mario. The boy stuck out his tongue. He didn't show a hint of panic at being discovered, but rather a look of total relish. He systematically started covering the tracks of his intrusion, and after confirming nothing was amiss, he turned off the computer, then resumed singing and walked out of the room. The jaunty little tune was once again muffled by the closing of the door. A heavy, stained metal door was pushed open with a creak. The red-painted door was spotted with flakes of crimson rust that flattered down at the slightest disturbance. This is called Mr. Love Queen's Choice. Don't forget to the like button, guys, by the way. This was a long abandoned building that had never finished construction and never been visited by anyone. The person who pushed open the door pulled a baseball cap low over his head. Beneath the cap were several locks of golden hair and a young face not much over 20. It's Kiro again. A name suddenly popped into my mind. Kiro. Kiro. The name quite suited him.
Finally found it.
Kiro walked through the maze of empty rooms, a computer in his hand upon which he would enter something, then delete, checking repeatedly until he finally stopped at a room that was all white. His upheld finger trembled slightly, then he finally hit the return key. The wall, suffused with a metallic glow, started to flicker, and soon the outline of a person had formed out of a bunch of ones and zeros. Kiro looked wide-eyed at the person who had appeared on the wall. He jerked forward half a step and called out,
Master.
The outline on the wall shifted around unsteadily, and an electronic voice played through the computer in Kiro's hand. Kiro, it's been a long time. Although we knew this was a message saved years ago, this young man, who was usually so composed now, grew red around the eyes and his pupils glistened with water. Don't worry about me. I never left this world. Only changed modes of existence. This existence is more than physical, but it's not spiritual either. You can see me as a string of code, or as a spirit in a stream of countless data.
But still, it's not the same.
Kiro muttered these words as he stood there in the center of the room, just meters away from the silhouette of the man, yet clearly more alone than ever. Alright, see you later, Mario and Sonic. Have a nice time. Thanks for dropping by. I cannot control my location right now, so I can only use this method to entrust you with a very important matter. Hearing this, Kiro's face grew solemn. I placed a code in your computer's database, composed of 10 layers. The final layer will self-destruct after 30 minutes. You must commit this layer firmly to your memory. At those words, his fingers flitted over the keyboard to open the database. String of code flashed across the screen. This code is the key to opening all the doors. You must use it to open a door and see an important person. The string of code seemed to be a signal. The figure composed of digits started to float away, and the electronic voice started to flicker and fade from the computer. Which is better, Lazy Town or Doug? Ooh, Doug, probably, because Doug actually dealt with some pretty serious issues back in the day when I watched it. There was one episode where Patty Mayonnaise had an eating disorder, and yeah, I really liked Doug. It dealt with teenage issues that they didn't bring up very often. It was ahead of its time. After this code disappears, you will be this world's last key. You must remember the key's mission. Even from the emotionless synthesized voice, Kiro could hear that this was goodbye. He tried to get him to stay.
Master, I still...
The digits forming that silhouette were all but faded. His final words came through hazily, yet incredibly determined. Kiro, you must remember, we shall stand in darkness as we defend the light. I'm glad you like to hear my opinions. As the sound of the last syllable faded, this empty room started to disintegrate. The wall caved in, and then the bricks reorganized themselves, forming a pitch-black passageway. I like to give my opinion when I can. Kiro stood dazed where he was for a long time, an empty look in his eyes when all of the changes finally settled into place. With somewhat of a grimace, he bent at the waist.
I will remember, Master.
A bead of water rolled down his jaw and fell on the dust-covered floor. He straightened up and walked resolutely through the floating dust down the black passage. Don't go in! I couldn't help wanting to call out to him, but I forgot my voice couldn't reach him. But he really did seem to sense something. He turned his head and beamed a smile at me in the empty space, just like when he was a boy, incomparably dazzling. The whole room collapsed completely. The black passage, the white walls, and the figure of the young man all gradually receded into the distance. From on high in the dust-filled air, I saw the building lean and collapse into a pile of rubble. A group of people in the distance shouted in shock, and the sound of police sirens came. Was this the end? Then a placid sound of piano music wafted in the air, drowning out all the other noise, and all was calm. Time started to sprint backward. The collapsed building erected itself once again from the ground up. I was also brought involuntarily down the stream of time back into the building. The row upon row of newly risen walls had me trapped securely within. So something about the piano music made her go back in time. The tight space became more and more cramped. I could actually touch the walls all around me, but I also couldn't escape. The oxygen was getting used up, and my breathing felt more and more labored as my consciousness gradually grew hazy. The vibration of piano strings seemed to sound in my ears once again, and a flat, unfamiliar voice spoke out. An unknown observer has appeared. Then an aged voice spoke up, sounding a bit familiar. Now, tell me your name.
Helios.
Whoa! That was odd. Helios is what he said. It was that young man who responded. Did he meet the person at the end of the passage?
Helios.
There you go. That way you can actually hear what he said. It like, I don't know what happened with that. That was crazy. Remember what you promised me. The old man laughed. The sound of his laughter sent me into a deeper trance, and the sound of a whirling current swept over me, as if carrying me away. This must be the code that we're looking for. Quickly, give me the passage key. The voices of all kinds of people constantly reverberated in my mind, colliding and overlapping with each other, making my head feel like it was about to burst. So it was Professor John, the one that told us to go see Lucien.
Look at me.
Oh boy. The young man's outburst broke through all the voices and reached my ears. An unknown power seemed to take over my body and force my eyes open, and I hazily saw a streak of gold. Oh my gosh, what is with these awesome pictures? They're so good. A moment later, the streak of color came into focus. I was looking at a golden eye. The silver-haired youth raised his head and seemed to look at me across the endless void. His one eye changed into a golden hue, dangerous and unnatural. He seemed to transform into two phantoms, one of gold and one of silver, continually interlacing and changing like an overlap that couldn't hold together. Kiro? What was that? The young man leapt at me, or perhaps he only wanted to shatter the glass in front of him. In an instant, shards scattered all around, glinting with fierce light. He walked toward me through the light-suffused air. I saw reflected in the shattered glass the panicked face of someone else.
I'm here. You can rest.
He spoke coldly. That stifling feeling also scattered instantly, much like the shattered glass. I finally come out from the wall. Whoa, then. Okay. Alright. Name of Faith. That's what this is called now. Name of Faith. Oh no, Pegasus. She's Angel. She's Megasus. We're on volume 3 now, I think. Yeah, volume 3. Chapter 15. 13. 15? 15. Name of Faith. Through the fog and clouds I kept falling, like a bird with a broken wing. The fog dispersed. I was stuck somewhere. Countless threads scattered around. I tried to escape, but soft threads turned into the sharpest blades. A drop of blood, scarlet, slid off my arm. Suddenly, the world began to shake. The gray walls collapsed bit by bit. A fierce wind tore through the threads. Broken Shadow approached, and now it's 1917, which is 717 for anybody who doesn't know. Sunlight was fading fast from the overcast sky. If it's actually 7:17 right now, okay, no, it's 7:39 where I am. I was gonna laugh so hard, though, if it was. Streams of people crisscrossed the central square, none noticing that man standing among them. On his face was a blank look of confusion. He looked at the large clock on a shopping mall, the numbers ticking away. 2028. You know, there's a rumor that 2028 is when people are going to invent time travel. I don't know if anybody knew that or not, but there's been rumors that people have been inventing time travel, and that it becomes commercial use at 2028. Hello, Common Sense! I was just giving a fun fact about why it's so funny that the clock said 2028. For anybody that's a nerd like me and likes time travel stuff, if you find anything time travel on YouTube, they always say something about 2028 being when actual real people, like civilians, can use time travel for whatever. This was 2028. This was the future. 1 step, 2, 3. The man quickly recovered from his confusion and entered the crowd. There was so much he wanted to know. He ended up standing on the side of the road for a long while. And then almost getting hit by a car, apparently. A black car sped past him. The image of the man inside was burned on his retinas. That was Victor, from 10 years in the future. Victor couldn't see himself. He could only watch as the car drove off. His pinky suddenly twitched. Victor navigated the streets from memory, but his destination, a once familiar office building, was now a museum of steel and glass. At this hour, the museum was cold and cheerless. Carved on a stone slab was its name and the year it was built. Many years really had passed. So for anybody who doesn't know, this chapter came out in 2018. Or this part of the volume came out in 2018. So 2028 is why they tried to keep it current to the time.
What happened?
The sound of a piano, mechanical yet mild, wafted in the air, hitting Victor's ears. He halted his step a moment, then he walked toward the sound. Pegasusangel YT? In a dream, a far-off voice seems to be calling my name. I stand between the boundless earth and sky, the roar of footsteps rushing at me from all sides. In my panic, I want to run, but I can't move. The ground is spattered with a trail of blood. At the end of a broken bridge stands the figure of a person. Who is it? As pain pierced my brain, the scene from the dream disappeared, along with any hope of further sleep. I rubbed my throbbing temples and looked at the sunlight shining in through the window. The clock approached 12. Sounds of bustling streets and swaying trees told me all was peaceful. My phone vibrated. A picture from Kiki of the company's reopening party. Willow had smeared cake all over Miner's face. Anna and Kiki were tending the barbecue. They even photoshopped my face in the background. I let out a laugh and replied with a jealous emoji. I put down the phone and stared blankly at the ceiling in my unchanged room, trance-like. It felt like if I closed my eyes, I'd still be able to feel that weightlessness of falling. I don't know yet. We don't have any new husbandos. We found out that Kiro has been not Kiro. We found out that Victor has been transported 10 years into the future. Kiro is turning into someone named Helios and getting silver hair and golden eyes. Gavin managed to get to us as we fell off of the building to keep us from dying. So yeah, that's basically what's happened so far, Moose. Hope I caught you up okay. There's so much drama. It's a visual novel / dating simulator. They're sci-fi thing. They're gonna put drama in it. They have to. I felt the ginkgo leaf on my wrist and tried to drive the surreal feeling out of my head. Then I just kept telling myself that's all in the past. That my life had returned to normal. That I could go back to the same peaceful life. But could I really? Could I really convince myself of that now? I sat up from the bed and opened the window. That old scene flashed again before my eyes. Those pairs of eyes, peaceful, cold, pained, resolute, still appeared vividly before me. The TV tower wasn't a dream. Nor was the break with Lucien, Victor going missing, or the painful goodbye with Kiro. Nor was a blood-soaked Gavin holding me till the end. None of them were a dream. After coming out of my coma, I rested at Special Task Force for several days before returning home. Gavin would often come check on me, even though we stayed silent about what happened that day. Lucien, that meanie doo-doo head. He didn't do anything mean. At all. He's still my favorite. Time moved on, and news about that day dried up. The whole TV tower incident was put to bed. But in my heart, I never got over it. Who's knocking on my door? I swear, if it's Lucien after you said that, Moose, I'm blaming you if it's Lucien. You jinxed it if it's Lucien. You know, anytime something big happens in my life, like falling off of a tower and dying, Lucien always finds me. That's what's been happening, at least so far. There were 3 knocks at the door. Oh, it was Gavin. Okay, good. It's Gavin. You're safe. You're safe, Moose. Come on out of hiding. I opened it and saw Gavin standing there.
How are you feeling today?
Gavin walked in, his eyes on me. A look of tender concern flickered through them.
Did you have another nightmare?
I shook my head and hastily wiped away a tear that had suddenly formed in the corner of my eye.
Don't move.
Gavin held back my hand, took out a tissue, and gently wiped the remnant of the tear from my face. He's so sweet. My nose is so bad right now. I'm fine. I tried to feign a look of nonchalance and forced out a weak smile.
You don't look fine.
Gavin kept his hold on my hand. His brow furrowed, but his tone stayed even. I just feel a little uneasy. Was there really no effect from what happened that day? Gavin is giving simp energy. Yeah, he's too sweet. Definitely simp energy. Simp equals sus. So if someone is too sweet, then they're officially a simp. Okay, then. Gavin let out a sigh, then he pulled up a chair and had me sit down.
Our monitoring of Black Swan ends today. As of late, there have been no more evol disturbances.
Hello, Yubi! I am doing good. How are you, my friend? Okay, but Lucien simps for me too. As the president of the Pegasusangel Simp Club, I have standing on the topic. You guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have you guys as a community. You guys are all amazing.
We're fairly confident there will be no follow-up incidents.
Then that's great. This was the best news I'd had in a while. With that weight lifted, I let out a real smile. I'm glad to hear you're doing good. Lucien equals super sussy baka. I think. So someone said they're the president of the Simp Club. Maybe someone is jealous of Lucien. I'm just messing with you, Moose. Please do not take me seriously. Please, please, please. Silence, anime mail. Silence, anime mail! Although I don't know how things ended up so quickly. Was it really because I flipped that switch? As strange as it felt, it was good news nonetheless, that things really were over. My gaze fell on Gavin. He was looking off somewhere, seemingly pondering something. I love it, Moose. And your injuries? Are you all better?
The wounds are all pretty much healed. I'll be back to active duty in a few days.
And how have you been, Phantom, by the way? I hope you've been doing well. That quick? I was astonished again at Gavin's recovery ability. Just 1 week ago, he was wrapped up in bandages. And you say you don't like RP in chat. It depends on what kind of RP. Little RPs like that don't bother me. It's when it's like, basically my whole chat is RP for more than 5 minutes. That's when I have issues. But yes, you are right. But most of my people know when they can RP with me and when they can't. He's definitely up to something. Yeah. I never imagined he'd be pretty much healed in a few days.
Well, I didn't think it was quick enough.
You...
This condition you're in worries me.
Gavin looked at me, eyes full of concern. He opened his mouth to tell me something, but then didn't. Is he always worrying about me? Worrying about my health? About my nightmares? About this thing I can't let go of? An inexplicable feeling welled up in my chest. I shook my head. I'm just gonna need a little time. Relax. I'll be fine. Gavin blinked and then he stood up and placed his hands on my shoulders.
You don't need to put up a front.
Oh my gosh, What he just said to me right there, that's a mood for me. I put up fronts all the time. If someone ever called me out on putting up a front, I would probably be like, what the fuck? What?
Whatever is eating at you, you can tell me.
Oh my gosh! No. I'm not simping for Gavin right now. It's not happening. After a pause, Gavin added, he is so worried about everyone in yours. Yeah, it's kind of me too. Well, okay, so I'm just going to be honest. More of my front is usually just being positive. To know, it seems like a bit of co-simping going on. Just a little bit. I usually will put on a front, like I hide whenever I have really bad anxiety attacks or whenever I'm having a really bad, like, day of depression. I usually am pretty good at hiding it. Yeah, I usually try to have, like, a positive front. And if I'm really worried about something, sometimes I go a little overboard with my positive front. So, like, yeah. If anybody had ever called me out on that, I would be like, how'd you know? Because I'm usually pretty good at hiding it. Gavin sus, Pega mega sus. Run away!
Anytime at all. I'm always here.
I love it. He spoke firmly and earnestly. It felt like two hands were slowly lifting my heart out of a ravine. Gavin. Yeah, I know it's okay to take breaks. Maybe because of all I've been through, I found myself less and less able to control my emotions. Just, I tend to like to rely on myself for things, which is how I've been ever since I was younger. I like to rely on myself for things. And so anytime that I'm really struggling, I don't usually rely on friends or anything. I just rely on myself. I'm trying to get better at it, though. Like just now. Tears trickled again out of the corners of my eyes. Gavin seemed a bit stunned, then he took a tissue and carefully wiped them away.
It's okay to cry.
This game is calling me out on so many levels right now, guys. Pretend like you're seeing none of this. The sunlight fell on his face, inches from mine, in a bright, clear streak. My tears turned into a smile, stunning Gavin again. After a moment of confusion, he smiled too. Gavin standing here wasn't a dream. The sunlight wasn't a dream. I couldn't keep going on like this. It's literally pegging me. It's pegging me with everything that I have dealt with my whole life. Not wanting to cry. Not wanting to show people what's going on for real. So it's pegging me. This is why I say video games can be very therapeutic. This is why I really like to play video games. Is because a lot of the story-based ones have some pretty therapeutic elements in them. No matter how uneasy or confused I felt, I had to pull myself together. Looking at Gavin. Pegging Pega. Next up on Pegasusangel After Dark. Not that kind of pegging! Oh my gosh, Moose! Naughty, naughty! Naughty boy! You shall be punished. I'm a terrible person for that, and I shall now go to my corner. You're fine, Moose, you're fine. Looking at Gavin, I couldn't help but remember what happened that day. How did you manage to get there in the end? Gavin raised his eyebrows, seemingly not expecting I'd ask.
I sensed you, so I came.
Oh yeah, he can sense you in the wind. Oh, Moose is wild. Moose is a lot of... Moose, Bozzy. I have so many amazing people here. I could say something good about everybody, every single person that's in chat right now. Without a problem. And I love it. And I love that so much that my community's like that. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
He's lying. He's not looking me in the eye. He's lying. Gavin turned to the side. His expression seemed a little off. Kinda on brand, I think. Yep.
Why do you ask?
Oh, no reason. Just popped into my head. Actually, I had wanted to ask for a long time. I really wanted to know the answer. But what I wanted to ask even more was, why were you injured all over then? Why did you hold me and fall with me? But seeing Gavin's expression, I kept my questions stuffed down and let him leave without asking. Bad idea, because Gavin disappears all the freaking time. Maybe he wasn't telling me because he didn't want to worry me further. Yeah, there's always a reason. After all, with all I'd been through, I still wasn't in the best mental state. After things have really settled down, when Gavin's no longer worried for me, I'll ask again. Alright. It's one of these. Wow, this is the first one we've had today. And we've been going for an hour. That's pretty good. You need a good planner to help you with the wedding for the newlyweds. Kyle perfectly planned a fantastic wedding. You need a talkative MC to host the wedding for the newlyweds. Cherry talks with ease and confidence, creating a sweet and lively atmosphere on the site. Alright, here we go. All three cards are Victor cards. Let's see how much longer. Okay, we can get pretty far today. Hello, Freddy. That was a 2-star, so we can get pretty far. Oh, I forgot to read the comments. Sorry, guys. I had that dream again for many days in a row now. A hazy world. The hazy silhouette. Only the spattered blood was piercingly, scorchingly clear. That figure in my view grew farther and farther away. I reached out, but could only clutch the air. Who is he? I wrestled open my eyes and found that I was lying over the table. Why have I kept having the same dream ever since coming out of that coma? I'm doing good, Freddy. How have you been? And why did that person in the dream seem so familiar? And the blood all over the ground. Was it his? I didn't know. I just stared blankly out the window at the night sky, my heart thumping ceaselessly. The steady buzz of the cicadas made it difficult to sleep. I always found cicadas buzzing soothing. I would always fall asleep to it. Rather than fight it, I opened the window, leaned on the sill, and looked out on the city before me. A sliver of moon, a trickle of pedestrians, and the sound of the far-off laughter infused the night air. Hello, Brain Freeze! Welcome! No hazy world or hazy silhouettes, just a city at its most commonplace. I guess my dream just now was just an ordinary nightmare. The ginkgo leaf on my wrist glittered in the moonlight like it was sighing in relief too. Wash his hands for no reason. My heart slowly settled back down. That day's memory flashed in my mind again. Gavin's gentle wiping of my tears and his firm words. I caressed the bracelet and my mouth curled up in a smile. It's because of you that Gavin is able to sense me, isn't it?
That's not it.
Oh, well then. Hi, Gavin. I popped my head up and saw Gavin on the balcony, leaning against the wall, hands in his pockets. The moonlight fell on him clear and bright. When did he get there? I mean, I know he has like these magic windy flyy powers, but wouldn't I notice it?
I can find you whether you have that or not.
He winked at me as his mouth broke into a tender smile. That's strange. I could feel a wind stirring over my heart, but there wasn't any breeze. We stayed like that, standing a bit apart, staring at each other.
Come with me somewhere.
Now?
Now.
The next moment, a slender hand was extended out before me. I mean, all of these guys in this game have had some sus stuff. Yes, it's very stalker-like. For Gavin's very stalker-like. Like, good night, Yubi. Victor is very dominating. Kiro is very good at manipulating. And Lucien is just a bad guy. But you didn't hear that from me. Because I like Lucien. Gavin looked at me, his eyes glittering with starlight. I didn't hesitate or stop to ask. I just put my hand in his. My body seemed to go weightless, and I'd reached out, but Gavin already pulled me into his arms. Huge swathes of clouds rushed past us. I felt like I could reach up and touch the moon. What brought you here all of a sudden?
I was thinking of you, so I came.
What's the... What are you hiding, Gavin? My gaze swept over Gavin's face. The tips of his ears were tinged with a hint of red. He's hiding something. He has to be. Yeah, I got all the dirt on all these pixels now. So bright, even the night couldn't hide it. High above the world. I couldn't hear cicadas or people. Just the sound of a heart beating. Praising Gavin. No kidding. Even the wind blowing past us felt warm. Where are we going?
You'll see when we get there. Hold tight.
That's alright, typos happen. Gavin glanced down at me and then started flying faster. Are you serious, Gavin? A white light suddenly appeared before me, and next to it, the glistening river surface. This place, being near the TV tower, was evacuated 2 months ago, so all construction had stopped. Come on. Why did Gavin bring me here? I was about to ask when Gavin started slowly bringing me back down to the ground. After our feet touched the ground, I saw before me a towering Ferris wheel. Pulls out pepper spray cutely. This was where they had been building Loveland City's tallest Ferris wheel. If it weren't for the TV tower incident, it probably would have been open by now. Not like it currently was. Standing abandoned by the other side. This is where you wanted to take me?
Want to ride it?
Gavin didn't answer my question, and he didn't let go of me either, instead gripping me tighter. But it hasn't opened yet, has it? Hearing this, Gavin arched his eyebrow and shot me a glance.
You just need to answer yes or no.
Woo! Whoa, I didn't know Gavin would be so forward. Holy crap! Looking at the giant Ferris wheel before me, I couldn't help but nod. Yes.
Wait for me a sec.
Gavin gave me his jacket and walked off toward a little room. I gotta do another one of these things. A talent show that selects 9 out of 99 girls. America's Got Talent. You need an A-lister singer to teach the trainees. And Dingle Daisy is my first choice. And she's obviously not an A-lister singer, so this will be interesting. Dingle Daisy has a poor foundation in singing and misleads the trainees to be out of tune. Okay, a professional marketer. Ken's marketing campaign makes the first episode of the program popular and phenomenal. You gotta go? Alright, Common Sense. Have a good night, my friend. Much love. You know, you knocked my phone down. After many hardships. Okay. What we got? Victor, Victor, and Victor. Ooh, that's a one crown. Oh well. Can't believe people like that got promoted. Bullshit. Clutching his jacket, I stood in place. A smaller Ferris wheel emerged from my memory, and an unfulfilled promise with my dad. It must have been my 9th birthday. I had been bugging Dad to ride the newly built Ferris wheel, but when my birthday came, he didn't show up. Cold wind blew and I felt a tightness in my chest. But then a star-shaped light illuminated the darkness in front of me. Then 2, 3, 4, countless lights lit up, turning the Ferris wheel into a star-ringed moon. Ka-chunk! The cabin started moving, and a plume of smoke seemed to come out from the bottom. The Ferris wheel was really on.
Which color cabin do you want to sit in?
Pink! That one. The blue one. I wanted the pink one. My main character has failed me. My eyes were instantly drawn to the cabin, painted like a starry sky. In no time, we were inside it and being whisked upward toward the stars. As the door shut slowly behind me, I sat next to Gavin, my heart racing with excitement. I can't believe we're actually riding the Ferris wheel. How did you do this? Gavin was looking out the window, then turned his eyes to me.
I have my ways, but that's not for you to ask.
What are you hiding, Gavin? I want to know. I want to know what Gavin's hiding. I didn't press the issue and just gawked out the windows at the view. No, you're not going to chew on that. The city slowly spread out before us, tranquil and serene. The moon reflected on the still river. In the cramped little cabin, the only sound was our lingering breaths. I turned to see Gavin, his face half illuminated by the moonlight and mesmerizingly tender. You have a monster to talk about today? Alrighty, cool. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Gavin.
What?
Why did you want to take me to ride the Ferris wheel? Gavin lowered his eyes, his bangs falling over his brow. Then he pointed out at a tall building.
See that? That's your company's building. Next door is a new science museum. On the right is a sports stadium, just emptying out.
How long was I in a coma? Gavin didn't answer my question. Instead, he just pointed out buildings and described them. Why was he telling me this?
This is the city I see every day when I'm out on missions.
Then he paused a moment and looked me earnestly in the eye.
And it's the city that you succeeded in protecting.
I did it! I protected the city. Yay!
We should look at it together.
I like that idea, Gavin. This was the city restored to normal by my efforts? This is what Gavin wanted to tell me? I suddenly felt as if I'd been struck in the chest.
Without you, this Ferris wheel would have stopped construction long ago, and those people wouldn't be back to living their normal lives. You saved them.
Then he took my hand.
And you saved me.
I saved you how? His eyes were aglow, brighter than the stars, more brilliant than the moon. So bright, I almost couldn't bring myself to look at him.
Don't look down. Look at me.
Jeez. He's being a bit bossy today.
Don't let yourself feel unsafe or that you're useless.
Okay, that's a good line to quote when you need it.
I was falling, and you caught me again.
Too many emotions flickered and flashed in Gavin's eyes. The whole cabin suddenly stopped. The air grew still. Only my heart kept racing. As we reached the top of the Ferris wheel, the image of Gavin now and then slowly merged. I couldn't help but think of that moment of despair. But it wasn't until that moment when Gavin caught me that I realized I was scared to death. I didn't want to give up this place, haul these people, and the bonds I'd formed. So I grabbed on for dear life, clung to that man who was always there to catch me when I'm falling. The thick smell of blood. Sorry. My Dr. Pepper's making me stutter. The thick smell of blood, the slight breeze, and our life and death embrace. I never imagined in that moment that Gavin was in greater danger than I. My tears, unable to be held back anymore, fell in streams from my eyes. Gavin, thank you for telling me this. But, it was never me catching you. It's always been you catching me. Every danger, every moment of life and death, it's always you. Through my tears, I poured out my heart to Gavin, telling him everything I've been holding in. Since coming to, I felt like I shouldn't be here. Like the danger's not gone. I can't let it go, but I didn't want to burden you with it either. The next moment, Gavin had me wrapped up in a tight embrace. With it, he took all my tears, all the unsaid words, and all my worries and regrets.
It's not a burden. You will never be a burden to me.
That is so sweet! Gavin spoke with conviction, and there was a hint of tears in his voice, too. My heart quivered, feeling as if it had been drenched by a storm. I will remember that, and I will work hard to feel at peace. At that moment, it felt like the walls around my heart had fallen, letting in countless rays of sun. The monster for today is named Donkeyback. Interesting. He talks to you like I talk to a nice brisket or some nachos. Heck yes. You gotta sweet talk the good food, so it'll stay good. All of the unease, suffering, doubt, pain, and hesitation just evaporated. Gavin let go, looked at the traces of tears on my face, and sighed. He looked away, seemingly embarrassed, and then wiped my tears gently with the inside of his jacket. I couldn't help but laugh at this. Gavin paused a moment, and then he put down his jacket and caressed my cheek with his fingertip.
That's better.
Aww! He's so sweet, guys! You gotta be extra nice to Taco Bell nachos. No kidding! Unless, you want to just, have an explosion of diarrhea. Gavin took back his hand, then turned his head awkwardly toward the window and looked up. The night lingered peacefully around us, and his tender, honest eyes lingered on the scene. I did go there, because everybody knows that. Everybody knows if you eat at Taco Bell, you're gonna have to poop. And it's usually not nice poop either. It's usually gross. The cabin had already passed its zenith, and had begun slowly arcing back down. I didn't think the Ferris wheel would turn so fast.
Want to ride it again?
No. Just doing it this one time will be enough to remember for a long while. I don't like Taco Bell anyway, so if they wanted to sponsor me, I would say no. I'm going to be upfront with people when it comes to sponsorships. If somebody wants to sponsor me, I don't say yes or no if I don't use their product. Because I don't want to lead people down a false path of, Raid Shadow Legends. Buy all of this. Go now to Raid Shadow Legends and type in such and such and you'll have all this. I don't want to lead people down the path of, if it's a game I don't like or something I don't like, that they feel like they have to do it to support the channel. I need a Dr. Pepper sponsorship. And possibly a McDonald's sponsorship. And maybe if Pokemon ever notices me, a Pokemon sponsorship would be nice. No, just doing it this one time will be enough to remember for a long while.
Why do you say that?
You'll probably laugh, but I've never ridden a Ferris wheel with anyone before. All the other times, I was either by myself or stood up by someone. Gavin stared at me with his bright eyes, and my heart started beating wildly. Yeah, I would never take... Well, I've heard such bad things about Raid Shadow Legends and how they pay their creators that they sponsor. Like, if I'm gonna take a freaking sponsorship, I'm gonna research the crap out of that sponsorship. And I'm also gonna make sure I also enjoy the product that I am telling others to try. A vacuum donkey themed monster. Interesting. Because my number one rule here and on my channel, besides spreading love and positivity, is full transparency. And so I'm not going to sit there and be like, and today's sponsor is Dr. Thunder. Because I absolutely hate Dr. Thunder. You know what I mean? Thank you for riding the Ferris wheel with me. I'm truly happy. Thank you for telling me that the city is better because of me. Thank you for your comfort, your embrace, your concern. I have felt them all.
If you ever want to ride again, just let me know. Anytime at all. I'll always go with you.
Aww. Okay. I nodded and stayed silent, enjoying this final little sliver of time. Creak. The cabin shook underfoot. The ride had stopped. The tender feeling that still hung in the air suddenly turned awkward. How is a tender feeling supposed to turn awkward? What? Gavin and I exchanged looks. Oh my gosh. That Moose wanted to use since it's good, but it was rather empty on what was needed. It was almost a 3K sponsor the day I was affiliated on Twitch. I refused. Dang.
You...
You. We both laughed. What should we do now?
Sit towards the middle.
With one hand around me, Gavin cracked open the window. A breeze streamed in through the crack. The next second, it felt as if some force was slowly pushing our cabin. Was it the wind? I thought he would open the cabin door and fly me down. I turned and looked at Gavin's windswept bangs and his assuring smile. He's not smiling. He looks upset. As if he could feel me staring, Gavin turned his head and slightly raised an eyebrow.
What?
One time when I was dating my then future ex, oh my gosh. I thought you would open the door and fly me down from here.
We haven't come full circle. I promised you.
He spoke frankly and unequivocally. Pronouncing words with Pegasusangel. Unequivocally. Buy from that store with my code. Oh yeah, that's crazy. With all the certainty and directness of eternity. I suddenly felt dizzy. I didn't even feel the faint drizzle drifting in through the window. The Ferris wheel gradually reached the ground. The cabin door opened, and heavy rain hit my face. Gavin pulled me over to an awning out of the rain. Summer rain, oh my gosh. Summer rain always comes sudden and fierce. The cloudy sky gave no signs of letting up. So yeah, sometimes I don't pronounce my R's or my T's right, guys. I usually am pretty good at not making it obvious, but that was really obvious. Under the narrow awning, we were getting wetter and wetter.
You okay with getting wet?
Oh my gosh. Oh, my brain is in a bad spot right now. My brain is in a bad spot. Oh my gosh, stop. The abrupt question caught me off guard. I nodded reflexively. Come on, Gavin. Phrasing, man. Oh my gosh. What do you mean? Before I could finish, Gavin pulled on my wrist, plunging us headlong into the driving rain. Then, Gavin's big jacket was spread over my head. I was enveloped by his scent. For a moment, I felt like time was running backward, like I had been in the same rain with the same person before. We walked through puddle after puddle along the humid riverbank, our shadows growing long. The rain seemed to be washing my heart clean, leaving it refreshed. With each step I took, I splashed away my worries and gloom.
Still feeling down?
Gavin's voice was very high. Not a bit. Smile broke out on his face, and that devil-may-care twinkle had returned to his eye.
Then let's pick up the pace.
The water splashed around us, and Gavin tightened his grip on my hand. I suddenly felt as if I were running down a long tunnel of time, enveloped by the howling wind. Carefree, 16. Troubled, 17. Transformative, 18. Mature, 19. No matter which age, this boy was always not far away, running down the tunnel with me. I was certain of it. Nope, another one of these. You need a professional photographer. Alright, cool. Homer is his name, and he blows bubblegum while he takes pictures. You need a qualified editor. We'll let her do that. After many hardships, my feet could not move and my eyes were not clear. Who do we got now? Victor, Victor, Victor. Anybody surprised? Not me. You guys were the ones who told me to pursue Victor. So Victor, Victor, Victor is what it is. It's okay, but I think better to change the style next time. Ooh, we have some stuff. We have a moment. Found 2 ice creams in the fridge. There may be 2 cupcakes tomorrow. I'd rather receive a report in my email. Well, that's mean, Victor. Enjoy a pouring rain that brushes off the bad vibes. When we got back home, since he'd lent me his jacket, Gavin was of course soaked through. My feeling that everything made sense slowly melted into awkwardness under the off-white lighting. I unthinkingly grabbed a handful of tissues, and on my tiptoes I wiped Gavin's face. Yeah, 'cause that's really gonna help. If you don't dry off, you'll catch cold. Gavin seemed taken aback, and his mouth curled up as a blush of red slowly crept over his ears.
Got it. I'll keep that in mind when you're not around.
Hot sweat and icy rain rolled off his face onto my wrist. I suddenly realized how close we were. Before I could finish, the sound of an alarm cut me off, accompanied by footsteps in the hallway. This was a special alarm for our complex. It almost never went off. What could it be this late? Gavin frowned, opened the door, and pulled me out into the hall. Emergency! Recently in the East District, a family is suspected of contracting a contagious disease, having just returned from a trip abroad. They are being rushed to the hospital. While a thorough disinfection is being carried out, a temporary quarantine is going into effect. We ask all tenants to remain in your homes. We apologize for the inconvenience. The grumblings of other people could suddenly be heard up and down the hall. Good thing tomorrow's the weekend, or I don't know what I'd do about work. As I said that, I suddenly looked in a panic at Gavin. If there was a temporary quarantine, did that mean Gavin would be stuck in my house? Gavin seemed to be thinking the same thing. We hurried back inside.
Don't worry, I'll just head out now. No one will notice. I have to get to the bottom of this.
Whatever you do, be careful. Gavin nodded. Uh-oh. Suddenly a loud knocking sound came at the door, almost scaring me. Who is it? No one answered. Instead, they only knocked harder. With each knock, my heart beat harder too. The knocking didn't stop, as if they were trying to break down the door. Gavin put his fingers to his lips. Keeping me behind him, he walked softly to the door. He opened the door suddenly, but there was no one there. The hallway that was just filled with the sound of people was now completely silent. Strong feeling of dread seized me. The back of my neck broke out in goosebumps. Gavin? I squeezed his hand tight. My heart was in my throat. Gavin shook his head at me, looked down the hall once more, and then shut the door.
Has this kind of thing ever happened before?
No, never. Gavin's brow wrinkled deeper. He looked at me full of worry.
Unless I can be sure that won't happen again. I can't let you stay here by yourself.
I guess he's gonna be living in my house, guys.
I'll stay here for tonight, okay?
He still sought my approval, even under these circumstances. I hesitantly nodded, trying hard to stay calm. Thank you.
Later, I'll send someone around to keep tabs on you. You don't need to worry.
Will this keep you from your work?
No. If I leave, I'll be even more distracted.
His words seemed to carry some strange magic that slowly set my troubled heart at ease. I brought over a blanket for Gavin, but looking at the narrow couch, I felt bad for him. My couch is too small.
It's okay. No big deal.
He patted the blanket. His voice seemed to say he was used to it.
You go get some sleep. I'll be here. If you need anything, just call for me.
Okay. You get some sleep too. Don't stay up on my account.
All right.
Gavin laughed, checked that the window was locked, and watched me walk into my room. Back in my bedroom, things still felt surreal. Thinking of the sudden knock made my heart race. Don't think about it. Gavin is outside. He'll protect me. I can't let him worry. Then I wrapped myself up in a blanket, shut my eyes tight, and tried to go to sleep. But no matter what, I couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned, not sleepy in the least. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to go to sleep even if I knew someone was in the other room. Because that would be creepy. I would want to get out of the house and go somewhere somewhere else after that. Donkey Vac is a cunning and sneaky monster who is also confident and enjoys his work. Turning my head, I saw light through the crack in the door, and a tenderness swept over my heart. What's with the random pee-pee, Jack? Did Gavin do that to help me feel reassured? I wonder if Gavin is asleep or not. I'd offer to cuddle, just saying. That would be nice. Having someone here and just being able to just lay with them and cuddle with them. I would be all over that. That'd be fine. But yeah, if something scary like that happened, one of the first things I'm gonna want to do is get the fuck out of Dodge. Hi, Jack. And hello, Aaron. I crept over the door and tapped 3 times. After some swishing sounds, I heard the sound of quiet footsteps.
What is it?
Maybe because it was so late, or because the door was between us, his voice sounded gentler. I didn't say goodnight. I pressed myself up against the door and whispered. Get to reapply due to new policies? Oh yeah, for monetization. That's exciting. Yes, Cuddle Dash. That'd be great. Get some comfort food, some pizza, some shakes. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's really cool that they've lowered it. I think that's really neat. I pressed myself up against the door and whispered. The door opened. Gavin looked at me smilingly in the soft light. His amber eyes flashed countless glimmers. Or 3 million shorts views. I have been killing it with shorts. Like, I have gotten more subscribers with shorts than I've had with live streams. And I get live stream subscribers too. Shorts are a lot of fun. Because they show people your personality in a quick, easy to watch way. And that's when, and they're like a channel trailer kinda.
Good night.
Aww. The strange knocking sound didn't happen again, and the night passed uneventfully. CBA to go find the old street. What? I'm confused what you're saying, Aaron. I can make, well, I got my actual channel trailer is me just introducing myself and talking about what kind of games I play and when I play them. I need to update it though, because I've changed my schedule since then. I hadn't had a dreamless sleep in a long time. When I awoke, it was already late in the morning. It is kind of old. I need to do a new one. In the living room, I saw the blanket had been folded up on the couch. There was a note on top. I picked it up. There was a line of neat handwriting on it. Gotta go. Later, we'll send someone to keep watch on the situation. Then at the end, 2 small words. Good morning. Aww, Gavin. At that moment, a warm ray of sunshine lit me up through the window. I couldn't contain my smile. Good morning. News. Gossip Spotlight. High-risk contagion spreading to a repeat SARS crisis. A community in the center of Loveland City sounded the alarm at night for a full blockade, forbidding residents from access, which led to strong dissatisfaction. According to an insider, a family living in the East Block were detected with symptoms like fever and emesis after they ended their journey abroad where similar contagions happened frequently. By now, the blockade remains, and it is still unknown to what extent the contagion circulates. Going to the dangerous area does no good to anyone at this particular time. I can prove that what's happening in this community is true. I was terrified when I heard the alarm at night. I can't even have my food delivered now. Truly desperate. One couple after the other. Better to calm myself down, changing my alias. Oh, can't be. I gotcha. Okay. Let's see what they said about this. Enjoy a pouring rain and that brushes off the bad vibes. Gavin, it's been raining a lot lately. Kiki, boss doesn't catch a cold. It looks like there's been a flu lately. Or don't catch a cold. It looks like there's been a flu lately. Anna, I envy the young. Alright, here we go. People are laughing while filming because of a joke. I have nobody that has sparklies around them. So that's not gonna work. And again, oh, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really, really hard to hit one crown on. Victor, Victor, Victor. Colors weave into a spiral of flame. Your courage is perhaps most worthy of praise. Gotcha, Aaron. Do you know what this rose implies? My patience is limited. What's your answer? Dang, that's kind of a mean card. I managed to get 1 star though, so yay, I guess. Stage 1511. New League of Legends Coke. With Gavin's help, I could finally let go of that oppressive feeling and return to normal life. After the heavy rain, the streets were filled with puddles, shimmering in the brilliant sunshine. I walked briskly, rounding a corner for the metro station. Just then a little boy bumped into me. I staggered back a few steps before I could steady myself. In an instant, a blurry image flashed before my eyes. It was an unfamiliar scene, an ordinary hospital room, empty save for a little boy on a bed. Pomegranates out of his nose? Gross. Give you a letter? How about the letter I? His back was to me. His frail body was like a dandelion about to be scattered on the wind. The next second, the scene disappeared like a hallucination. I looked down at the little hoodlum who'd bumped into me. The boy of 8 or 9 seemed... Luna! The boy of 8 or 9 seemed dazed himself. He looked up, a blank look hanging over his clever face. He was even holding a box of medicine. Hey, little kid, don't run! A middle-aged person came running from the pharmacy, decidedly angry. The boy trembled in my arms. Where are you running to? Who said you could just take off with that? The pharmacist strode over, took a look at me, and then grabbed for the little boy. Sis! The boy suddenly hid behind me and shouted for me. I got the medicine for you. Wait. Before I could react, the pharmacist trained his indignant gaze on me. How can we spell Dupless to defeat him? That's $55 total for the 2 boxes. Hand it over. I'm not... I was going to deny knowing the boy, but his frightened state made me change my mind. Ivern. Fine. Consider it a good deed. Just as I was handing the money over to the pharmacist, the boy took his chance to run off. turned and watched as the little figure ran off, a wave of inexplicable deja vu washing over me. Where have I seen him before? After getting his money, the pharmacist grumbled off to the store. I was about to go too when a glint of light caught my eye. At my feet was a silver necklace with a round pendant. It looked as plain as could be. Did that boy drop this? I picked it up. The engraving had been worn away, but you could see that its owner had cherished it. Opening the round pendant, there was a little photograph inside. A smiling family of 3. Held between a mother and father was that same boy just now. I spun around to look for the boy, but he had already run off without a trace. I was almost late for work. I hesitated, then decided to put the necklace in my bag to handle later. After being away for so long, naturally there was a stack of things waiting for me at the office. Seeing the mound of folders, I actually felt more happy than stressed. I've said that before too. Like, I'm glad that you like to, talk about things you're interested in. But, like, whenever I'm doing, like, a visual novel or when I'm playing a game, sometimes it can be kind of hard to actually play the game. Because, I'm having to respond like I'm interested in the Power Ranger monsters. I'm not trying to be mean. I think we all have our things that we enjoy, and that's fine. And I don't mind it every once in a while, but it's been an every stream thing, and it does not have to be an every stream thing. Happy that I'd returned to my former life. It may be busy, but it's steady. Solving production hiccups, planning ad campaigns, a complaint lodged against us. Once I'd taken care of everything, it was already time to get off work.
Busy today?
Oh, hi Gavin. Are you here to keep me safe, I guess? Someone's burning a leaf fire or a bonfire. I smell it. Gavin hopped in through the window and took a stack of documents from my hands. Yeah, pretty busy, but it's actually a good feeling. Gavin let out a laugh.
So I'll take you home in a bit?
Gavin looks like someone who works at McDonald's. I mean, if you put a McDonald's hat on him, yeah, he could definitely pass as a McDonald's worker. Ooh, my knee just popped. That hurt. I guess we can take the lesser of 4 evils. Okay. Oh, hang on. I'd like to swing by the police station. We don't have to play a game in the chat. I think that just chatting is fine. This is a visual novel. We don't have to play a game in chat. If people are getting bored, they can just, they can leave when they're bored.
Police station? Just tell me.
It's this necklace. This morning, a boy dropped it beside me. I took out the nearly forgotten necklace from my bag and handed it to Gavin. Then I told Gavin about running into the boy and about the picture inside the necklace. Gavin opened the pendant. As soon as he saw the picture, his brow knotted up. What's wrong? I looked questioningly, but I didn't see anything out of place. But Gavin's gaze hung on the pendant for a long time. A glow flashed in his eye as he eyed the people in the picture, and then just as fast, it was gone.
Let me keep it for now. I'll investigate it.
Okay. Gavin took the necklace. He hesitated a bit as he looked at me, but he wasn't going to say any more. After taking me home, Gavin left in a hurry. Watching him go, I couldn't help but wonder. I had a sense that this pendant was somehow connected to Gavin. Oh, yay! Hire a historian as a consultant. There are no historians. Young is just a scholar. Oh, good. It's a good person to sponsor it. All pieces of furniture provided by Jade are real, making the movie convincing. Alright, here we go. Ooh! We actually have Kiro this time. Victor, and Kiro. I will fulfill my promise to you one day. Confirm. Ooh! Somebody's phone is ringing. Yes, you can finish up Donkey Vac, but just in the future, you don't have to make Power Rangers monsters be your whole persona. You really don't. I'll pay attention to you no matter what you talk about. It doesn't have to just be Power Ranger monsters. A message from an unknown sender flashed on the screen. It contained just one simple word. Okay. Gavin grew quiet, stood up, put the phone in his pocket, and walked out the room. On a windless night, the leaves rustled and shook. Gavin's eyes looked up and watched as that figure drew nearer and more distinct. Okay? Okay. A pair of black boots stopped before Gavin. Gavin eyed the man holding a cigarette, 35 or 36. A tough-set blow, somewhat world-weary. The instant he saw Gavin, his tranquil expression flared up, but then quickly calmed down again.
Litton.
Litton? Who's Litton? Oh, I know who Litton is. It's my shiny little candy cane cat. Hearing his name spoken, a slight smile seemed to flicker on his face.
When did you get back?
A month ago. The happy picture from the pendant flashed in Gavin's mind. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Now that the mission's over, I really don't know what to do with myself. His self-mocking tone made Gavin wince.
You knew how it would be a long time ago, right?
Still too late. From the moment I agreed, the ending was already preordained. A silence stretched between the two as if they'd been walking different paths these years. Gavin, what if one day everything you believed in turned out to be a lie? What would you do? Gavin didn't answer. He just stared coldly at the man before him. Tap. The sound of a footstep seemed to come from nearby. The man reflexively reached for his belt, but there was nothing there. He withdrew his hand. This reflexive motion stunned Gavin for a moment, too. Don't you want to know the reason I left?
No need. I trust you.
Having said this, Gavin turned coolly away and strode off. The call of the man behind him was swept away by a hard-to-discern black wind. You're evil! Gavin paused. In the dark of the night, no one could see the change in his expression. Arriving alone to an empty drill yard, Gavin still had the man's words echoing in his head. What if one day everything you believed in turned out to be a lie? What would you do? His hand balled into a tight fist. Gavin looked at the archives room in front of him and walked in. His tall figure walked past shelf upon shelf of books. Gavin's face remained unchanged. Special Task Force Classified Missions, Executive Officer Files. Gavin's footsteps paused. He reached out and took down a dusty records case. Stuck on the front page was an old photograph. The upright smile on that face caught Gavin's eye. Beside the photo was the name that had blurred long ago. Lytton. Vacuums on his hands, able to first supersuction, able to bring his enemies closer. Gavin flipped the page and read carefully over the rest of the file. It seemed like a fire had been ignited in Gavin's eyes. In the quiet room, the sudden sound of a phone vibrating snapped me out of my daydream. The name on the screen was one that I wasn't expecting. Pegasusangel YT. Commander? That's right, it's me. I want you to listen carefully to what I have to say. His even sterner tone than before had me at full attention. I know that you encountered a boy today. How would the commander know that? Could Gavin have told him? That boy? What about him? He's someone who STF has been monitoring. You running into him today was no accident. Our guess is that it's an attempt from Black Swan to get close to you. Black Swan? Get close to me? STF's been monitoring him? Every sentence from the commander's lips made my heart sink further. The boy's timid face and pure eyes flashed in my mind. He's trying to get close to me? Yes. He is a key individual. He may be linked to one of Black Swan's experiments. We need you to gain this boy's trust and possibly protect him to a certain extent. At the right time, someone will come to reinforce you. Me? Why me? Because you're special. Only you can get close to him. You don't need to worry about your safety. STF will send undercover personnel to guarantee that. Getting all this so suddenly left me dumbfounded. This all seems pretty sus. I didn't know what to say. I could barely keep up. I've said before, you are a crucial link in Black Swan's chain of evolution, and you're the only one who can accomplish this task. But it is only a request. You have the right to refuse or accept. I hesitated. After all I've been through, I couldn't make such a decision so casually. Perhaps in doing this, you can find the real truth behind your father's death. You don't need to answer right now. Think it over and then let me know soon. Without waiting for me to respond, the commander hung up the phone. I thought back to the boy that ran into me on the street. He seemed like just a plain normal kid. That happy smile from the family photo in the pendant made you want to smile too. But that smile had already disappeared from the boy's face. What? Why? After that, the commander didn't contact me again. Seemed I really did have plenty of time. The commander's words replayed over and over in my mind, a disorienting feeling coming over me. He said I was the only one who could do the mission, that Black Swan was largely involved, and even that I might find the truth behind my father's death. I laughed grimly. I thought after coming out of my coma that I'd be able to continue a normal life. Hello, Applejack. But this was life's joke. With every incident, truths at the core of my being were on the line. And I couldn't just sit by and ignore them. Ever since finding that info in Dad's notebook, his death has seemed tied up with Black Swan. But this little boy was only 8 or 9. How could he be wrapped up in such complicated history? For some reason, the vision that I got after we bumped into each other surged again in my mind. The scene was still blurry, but a strange intuition sprung up within me. These incidents had an inextricable connection. Perhaps the boy really was my key to the truth. And that necklace dropped by my foot. In a flash, the image of Gavin closely inspecting the pendant popped into my mind. It seemed that everything after this started with me giving Gavin that pendant. My heart raced. Gavin, will he know how crucial this matter is? Seeing Gavin standing as planned outside my building, I sighed in relief and walked toward him.
What is it?
Seemingly sensing my eyes on him, Gavin turned from where he stood, waiting under a tree. The evening sun fell unevenly over his body. In his hand was the boy's pendant.
What did you want to tell me yesterday?
I was a bit hesitant, but I still decided to tell Gavin about the call with the commander yesterday. At every detail, Gavin's brow furrowed a bit. Why would the commander come to me? That boy is someone very special, isn't he? Gavin's eyes seemed to be looking through me at something else, with an emotion I couldn't make out.
I know his father.
I tried and failed to stifle a gasp. His father?
I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. That person... I lost touch with him 6 years ago.
But the commander...
I don't know why the commander said this is related to your father's death, but this mission isn't simple at all. You'd best stay away from the boy.
Gavin's probably right on this. It seems really sus to me. Gavin stressed this sternly, more stern than I'd seen him in all this time. But the question is, will the main character listen? Because she never does. And I had already guessed he would. Gavin, actually, I want to discuss something with you. I won't accept, but I think this boy really does have something to do with the truth I'm after. So, I want to go see him on my own terms. Gavin remained silent and just stared intently at me. This isn't an impulse. I have thought this through. Gavin lowered his head and mulled it over a second, then looked at me again in full sincerity.
You're sure?
Looking into Gavin's questioning eyes, I firmly nodded my head. Yes.
If you want this, I won't stop you. But your safety comes first. Don't go off on your own.
In other words, don't leave unless you have me with you. So my main character's already not listening to Gavin being like, oh, this is a little sus. And now he's telling her, don't leave unless I'm with you. You think she's gonna listen to that?
I'll take you to find him.
Half an hour later, Gavin had taken me to Verdant Plaza.
He's there.
In the center of the plaza, a young boy squatted on the ground, drawing with colored chalks. He pursed his lips, and his expression was serious and stern, as if doing something very important. Gavin and I walked over, and the boy's masterpiece slowly appeared before us. It wasn't a childish drawing, as I had imagined either, but something truly exceptional. Hearing someone draw near, the boy raised his head. His eyes went wide as he seemed to recognize me. He threw down his chalk and ran over to me, looking very anxious. Have you seen my necklace? Can you give it back to me? He looked up at me, trying to be brave, but his eyes were full of tears. Sorry, I'll pay you back the money. If you find my necklace, can you give it back to me? You're scaring Moose as I read. Uh-oh.
Your name is Perry, right? That's exactly what we came here about.
Agent P. Gavin held out his hand. Inside was that plain, ordinary necklace. But to the boy, it was a treasure. He looked at the picture and then put it carefully back on. Seeing him do all that, for some reason, it made me feel a little choked up. This was the kid that was purposefully trying to get close to me? I couldn't believe it. A strong intuition told me that this wasn't the truth. No, he doesn't look like a platypus. Think both. I don't have any money right now, but I'll figure out a way. The boy held his fist tightly at his side, and his toes kept fidgeting. It's okay. I bent over and gave him my friendliest smile. Then I held out a hand and patted his head. He froze a bit, but he didn't shy away. I, on the other hand, was shocked by how warm he felt. My hand slipped down and fell between his questioning eyes. He was almost scalding. He's got a high fever. Gavin held his hand out too, and felt his temperature was indeed abnormal.
It's pretty serious. We're going to a hospital right now.
No, I won't go. The boy immediately stepped back. I'm not going to a hospital. I still have to go home and wait for my dad to come back. But you... Before I could finish, Gavin was squatting down, his hands on the boy's shoulders.
If you get sick, you've got to go to a hospital.
The boy seemed scared. His eyes grew very wide. I tugged on Gavin's sleeve and whispered, Gavin, take it easy. Gavin froze a moment and then seemed embarrassed. He coughed and tried again, more softly.
I promise, if your dad comes back, I will tell you.
He hesitated, then nodded. He seemed in a fever haze, his eyes glazing over as he looked at us.
Let's go.
Gavin squatted down and put the boy on his back. Was that medicine for himself? Why did his temperature spike? And so high? I'd never encountered a situation like this before. I nervously hovered around Gavin and the boy.
Don't worry.
Gavin suddenly called my name, his expression as calm as ever, making me feel reassured too. Right. We'll be fine. No problem. While waiting, I kept reassuring myself, but when the doctor saw us, he really let us have it. What kind of parents are you? The kid's fever is off the charts. Why didn't you come in sooner?
Is it serious?
Gavin quietly pulled me behind him to block the glaring eyes of the doctor. The flu's been going around lately. He'll have to stay a few days for observation. Okay. Thank you, doctor.
I'll go take care of the paperwork. You stay here with him.
Gavin nodded to the doctor and walked off quickly. Perry was already asleep on a hospital bed, his little body curled up on itself. He wasn't sleeping peacefully at all. His face was flushed red and his hand kept twitching. This hospital room had a lot of patients like him, but oddly enough, they were all adults. The flu usually kicks up more in spring, but this year, for some reason, it started in early summer. Soon, Gavin returned. He was carrying Perry's test results in his hand, seemingly lost in thought. Is there some problem?
No. I just think the cause of this flu is a little unclear.
Gavin shook his head and set down the test result paper. We sat next to Perry, occasionally wiping the sweat from his forehead with a damp towel. His little mouth opened and closed as if saying something, but we couldn't make anything out. When the nurse came around with medicine, he woke up hazily, still not thinking clearly. Perry, how do you feel now? First he pursed his lips and nodded, then he shook his head anxiously. Finally, he stuck his head under the blanket and nothing I said could convince him to come out. What's wrong? I looked helplessly at Gavin, not knowing if I should just pull the blanket away.
Stay calm.
Gavin bent over and patted Perry's back through the blankets. A crack emerged in the airtight cocoon. Perry stuck out half his face and nodded. Then a gurgling sound came from under the blanket. His face turned sheepish. Gavin gently pulled the little gopher out of his hole again, a hint of laughter in his voice.
Are you hungry?
Uh-huh. I want some soup. Perry's voice was so low I could barely hear him, like he felt he was making an extravagant request.
I'll go pick some up. You stay here.
Gavin stood up, gave me a look, and left the room. Soon he came back with 2 bowls of soup. He placed one in front of Perry and one in front of me.
Dig in. It's not too hot.
Thank you. I picked up the bowl. It was nice and warm. After Perry had eaten most of his soup, I cajoled him into finishing his medicine. Perry finally slept in peace, but his brows still kept twisting from time to time. His little hand waved in the air as if he was trying to grab something. Gavin grabbed his white-knuckled hand and placed it back under the blanket. Now I want soup. My heart melted as I watched Gavin act so gentle and warm. It was a side of him I didn't often see. Carrying Perry to the hospital, getting him soup, and now patiently caring for him. Actually, that's the man he's always been, hiding his gentleness deep within. But Perry's hand kept squirming out of the blanket, and finally it grasped Gavin's finger tightly. He held on tight, as if he was holding on to a lifeline. Dad. Daddy? Tear rolled down his cheek as he whispered in his sleep. Gavin's hand froze and trembled, almost imperceptibly. No. Don't go. Gavin's eyes grew wide, and he didn't try to draw back his hand. I suddenly felt all choked up, as if something was squeezing my chest. I reached out and lightly grabbed Gavin's hand. In that moment, countless scenes once again appeared before me. I saw under tree-shaded darkness a familiar figure standing before Gavin. As Gavin raised his head, I could see his eyes filled with a restrained fury and worry. I also saw Gavin soaked through by the rain, looking completely desolate and forlorn. I hastily pulled back my hand, my heart racing incessantly. Was this another vision? Why was the vision so clear this time? And it all had to do with Gavin. Why do I keep having these visions? I couldn't understand it. I could only take deep breaths and try to stay calm. I hadn't noticed that Gavin had already turned his head and was looking at me worriedly. Shah! Lightning cracked outside the window. The previously dusky sky had now turned pitch black. I hurriedly closed the window, and my heart suddenly started beating anxiously. It looked like a big storm was coming. And this is where we have to end it for today, guys, because I have to go to work. We will come back to this, don't worry. I had to wait a little bit to come back to it because I needed to get everything where it needed to go. Get my cards up to the levels they needed to be so that I could actually progress in the story. And that's what I'll be doing all week this week as well. But for now, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys so much. Funny enough, I kept thinking my phone got a message. Oh yeah, it sounds very realistic. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being awesome. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Soup and Sussy Simpy Gavin, yeah. And I will be live again tomorrow, but I don't know with what. I'm leaning on more Security Breach. But I'm also thinking about Mario Kart because we haven't done Mario Kart in a while. So it's going to be one of the two. You'll know when I go live. Anyway, guys, as always, much love, everybody. Mwah. Go out there, go spread some love and positivity today because you never know who needs it. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Until then, have a good rest of the night and keep your eye out. There's a short coming up tomorrow, too, at 11. So keep your eye out for that. Yep, chat with you all again tomorrow. Yes, have fun storming the castle. See you guys later. Have a good rest of the night and stay safe. Bye, everyone.